Welcome back to Bleav in Colts. I'm Lawrence Owen with my guy Jerraud Powers, and today we have a very special guest. We have a long-time NFL defensive back, a guy who legitimately was one of my favorite players on the Indianapolis Colts during the Ryan Grigson era. I mean, you guys remember the Ryan Grigson era, right? Darius Butler is here with us. How's it going, Darius? How you been, man?
I've been great, man. Been great. I've been having fun. Off season, this NFL off season has been crazy, so they've been obviously keeping all of us busy. But I'm good, man. How are you guys, man? Appreciate you for having me.
Oh, I
Man,
appreciate you joining.
yeah, for sure. And glad to have you. But man, just following your media career, like you've been my guy for a long time. A lot of people, I don't even know if you remember this, but back when our rookie year at the combine, our agents knew each other and we was in the lobby and they introduced us to each other. I knew you was like one of the top 3-4 corners in our class. And I remember thinking, I was like, dang, man. I said, so he the one from UConn everybody talking about? And my agent was like, wait till the combine, like wait till you see this dude move. You know, and you go to the combine, and it's 4.3, you jumping 44 inches, it's like crazy numbers at the combine. So my guy, appreciate you coming, appreciate you having us. But you're starting to skyrocket in the media world, man. We starting to see you on all these major platforms. Talk about that a little bit and what you got going on in the media world.
Well, first of all, that combine, man, that's a special moment. I tell everybody all the time, we come in that class, you looking at everybody sizing everybody up. We came in, we was old heads too, so we didn't have as much social media access and seeing guys, but you know, seeing you, seeing Vontae, Malcolm Jenkins just retired, that Mike Mitchell, somebody we'll probably talk about on this show. Just seeing all those guys combine, that's always a dope experience. But this media thing, man, it's been fun. It's been fun, and I never really thought as a player this would have been a lane I would have got into. I thought maybe coaching. But definitely didn't see media just because, you know, I didn't really like what I saw on TV for the most part. You know, the clickbait stuff, or even when you would see former players get on there and talk about the game, it's like, hey, you know that's how stuff go in the locker room, or the real behind contracts and who's good, who's not. So, you know, it was something I started the man-to-man pod with AB, with Antoine Bethea, obviously another former longtime Colt. And it was something that we both said, if we're going to do it, you know, we got to do it authentic and have just conversations, the same conversations that we're having in the locker room. You remember all those thousands of conversations you had in the locker room. So that's kind of been my way of doing it. And obviously, Pat McAfee, a guy that's been trailblazing in the space, both of our former teammates. He's played a huge role in throwing me alley hoops and helping me get the pod started and doing things like that. So it's been fun, man. It's been fun. It's something I wake up, I enjoy doing. Keeps me connected to the game. And like I said, most importantly, I enjoy doing it, and I feel like I'm, you know, being my authentic self.
Lawrence, before you jump in there, Lawrence, right before you jump in, just one more quick while we're still on this subject. My guy, I know you had bounced around. When I say bounced around, played for a couple teams in the league, but before you got to Indy, me and Lawrence, every pod, you know, we mentioned about just the coach he brings, like, you know, the reputation Indy got far as organization-wise, the people inside the building. When you first got to Indy, what was like one of the first things, because you got to Indy under the new staff. You had just mentioned Grigson a little bit. When you first got to Indy, what kind of was different compared to New England, compared to Carolina, I think was the two teams you was with before, that kind of stood out because you kind of made a staple and a name for yourself in Indy?
Yeah, man, as you know, better than most people, you know, everybody has their own unique path and experience in life, obviously, but in the league, you know, we both got drafted the same year. We had completely different paths in the league.
Right.
So like you said, it was my third stop. I came in, I was a high draft pick, second round pick, got cut from New England after 2 years, went to Carolina for a year, didn't have the greatest year as a team. So, you know, you got to make a judgment, got cut from Carolina, and then landed on my feet, got signed like 3-4 games into the season with Indy. And in New England, super militant. Like, you know, it's not really a fun building to be in, honestly. Outside of Sundays, when we run out of that tunnel, you know, you got a damn good chance of winning because, you know, you out prepared and outwork that team. But it wasn't really a fun environment. It was, you know, you had your friends and your this and that, but it was very militant in the building. Carolina. I was with a first-year head coach out there, Ron Rivera, and a rookie quarterback with Cam Newton. So it was kind of a changing of the guards there too, but it was a different environment, much more fun. But you go out on Sundays, it's like, damn, we ain't go over that. We ain't go over this. It was just kind of, it was just different. You had a lot of personalities. You had Smitty, Steve Smith, longtime Panthers who done it, John Beast and Charles Johnson. You had Jeremy Shockey, just so many, Cam Newton, just huge personalities. So it was completely different. Then getting to Indy, like you saw it in New England, you kind of felt like you were more prepared. You were almost at a different level than everybody else. But that Indy week, I remember that, when we were going to play Peyton and we were going to play the Colts, it was just different. That was just somebody you kind of almost saw as an equal. Like, hey, we got everything. It was just a different week. Everybody's perked up a little more that week. And you saw it. That's how it was ran. It was an A+ organization from the top down, even though, once again, new head coach with Chuck Pagano, new GM with Ryan Grigson, rookie quarterback with Andrew Luck, but still a lot of things was real buttoned up. And, been there for 6 years, got on my feet. And Grigson, he catches a lot of heat in the media. And I think, he could have done obviously some things different, but his first time around the rodeo, he did a lot. He signed a lot of guys. He made a lot of under the radar, Freeman, just guys that came, Mike Adams, guys that came in and did damage that people didn't expect. And, I sat down with him. He was like, hey, this your third stop. And we got some injuries. I think Vontae was hurt.
Von
King was hurt. I think you might have been banged up too.
I just came back. Yeah, I was like the only veteran that was healthy.
Cash was out there. So he was like, look, he was like, I was how are you coming out of the draft and things haven't worked out in other places. But if you don't make it here, it's probably your last stop in the NFL. I'm just being real with you. So when he said that, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna kind of go out there. If I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out my way. And just kind of was playing with a different sense of confidence and a different hunger, and had to become a pro and been surrounded by guys like Rob Mathis, Freeney, Reggie Wayne, Antoine Bethea. Like, you just saw just pro, and I just learned a lot from those guys.
Awesome. Okay, so it's time. I got to drop this ad. Ladies and gentlemen, we are finally here. The top teams in college basketball have been determined, and the Final Four is set. Looking to wager on these games with a national championship? Head over to the betonline.ag on your desktop or mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code Bleav, that's BLEAV, to get started. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all updated odds and info, along with player props and new contests throughout the year. It's the best source for all your sporting wagering needs, including live betting and everyone's favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's super easy to get started. Just join today. Learn why everybody is saying BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to get started and to wager on sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, man.
My fault.
All good. All good. Fault. Hey, you warned me before. We was like, hey, Darius pretty good at talking.
Yeah, he's informative. Hey, very informative.
Yes, he is. He's got a lot of knowledge, man. I got a question. You've been now, obviously, you talked about how a certain former punter for the Indianapolis Colts is kind of into the media right now and getting pretty big. And he brings in a lot of ex-Colts players as well. You've been on there a ton.
Yeah.
Jerraud's been on there. My former co-host, DeQuell Jackson's been on there. What's it like sitting there knowing, I mean, obviously it's a different animal, but than playing in the NFL, but is the nerves there? Because I mean, I can only imagine, millions and millions of people are watching and listening to this as well. And Pat, he's got a personality.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. I mean, it's one of those things where you feel like you're in the locker room again. You obviously we've known Pat for a long time, and he's still the guy that we've always known. It's not like he's out there putting on a character. Like, that's just who he is. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you get on there, and obviously we're all doing our different things in the media. And for me, it becomes, it's fun, but it becomes work again. So it's kind of like football. I'm just talking trash about sports and what's going on in life, or just having conversations that I would have in a barbershop, on the basketball court, in the locker room. So, I don't really think about the people that are listening or watching. It's just having good conversation that I know people, are going to be engaged with, and people are going to enjoy. That's what makes his show so different. That it's not the same run of the mill, it's not the same topics that everybody's going to be talking about. It's just, hey, then he got his boys with him, so you don't know what's going to come out of their mouth. So it just adds a different element of excitement and improv. So it's fun.
Awesome. Thank you for watching Jerraud Powers and I here on Bleav in Colts, part of the Bleav Podcast Network. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, and tag that notification bell so that you're notified next time we upload a video or go live. And don't forget, you can hit that little red share button. Help us out a lot with exposure and getting our stuff out to more fans. Now, let's get back to the video. JP.
And staying on that topic for a second, Pat kind of broke that mold for the former players. Yeah. Like, hey, you ain't got to go the route all the former players go with the media, where, you do your media training, you get hired by these big companies, ESPN, and go that route. You can kind of break the mold and do your own thing. Is that some of that you want to bark on, that same lane, and where you're just creating your own thing rather than, I think you'll be a great broadcaster. I feel like we need more defensive guys on that stage to kind of explain the game for our fans and et cetera, because it's all offensive perspective. And when you look at the guys in the media, we got some upcoming media guys that's more defensive minded than your traditional offensive minded. But at that same token, we in the golden era of entrepreneurship. And I know that you got your own thing that you want to build and brand, kind of like Pat McAfee did. So what is your goals for our future when you talk about what you want to do in this media thing?
Yeah. So I guess ultimate goals is definitely having some form of a daily show, putting out daily content where, not just giving my takes, but giving my opinion on what's going on daily in the sports world, and kind of, I'm very interested in like how business and sports cross over. I feel like once again, getting into something, I just want it to be authentic, to myself. And that's what I care about. And that's what I think people should know a little more about, especially the athletes, because being an athlete, you're kind of always in the middle of it. You just going, we're playing the sport that we always played. And a lot of guys just get kind of stuck in that, like I'm playing a sport. But once you cross over, and now on the college level, you're getting paid. But once you cross over to that pro level, like, it's about the business of Jerraud Powers. It's about the business of Darius Butler, Antoine Bethea, whoever it is. And guys got to really move, as a corporation. It's something you don't really understand. We're young, and they kind of want to keep you in that lane of, hey, it's just football. So I kind of want to bring, I guess, some sort of education to that side of things, as well as being entertaining. But yeah, I want to stay in that lane. But I'm with you as far as the buttoned up broadcaster. That's also a goal of mine, is calling games, because I do feel like we need defensive mind, and we know who knows quarterbacks and how the game is moving better than we do. We have to understand quarterbacks. We have to understand plays, concepts, coordinators, receivers. So, not everybody, but a lot of guys that get up there do it. Louis Riddick, Ryan Clark, like these guys do a great job of it. And I think I can do as well. So I can be a guy. We're all different. We all have range. So I can be a guy that you hear on Sundays, button up in the suit, talking about the game, like, Greg Olsen, Tony Romo, whoever. And then, throughout the week, you can see me in the sweats and the hoodie and the hat on, talking about what's going on in the sports news daily as well. So I kind of want to stay in both lanes, and once again, just stay, true to who I am.
You and Akeem in the booth would be wild.
And who? Oh man,
you and Akeem.
Hey, he would. He. Go ahead, bro.
No, you got it.
No, I mean, I love what Akeem is doing, and it's different. He once again is somebody that gets on. He's, obviously he's gonna be clean. He's gonna be fresh, but he's being authentic to who he is. And I know I love watching it as a player, hearing his insight on what's going on, because he's somebody that, I played 9 years in the league, but every time I hear him talk about the game, I learn something. Same with Greg Olsen, same with a lot of these people that are on TV. So I think more players can cross over and definitely get into that. But yeah, I would love to be at a booth with Bleav. That'd be dope.
Yeah, that's awesome, because I mean, they say that offense sells tickets, but there's a lot of guys out there that love trench the trench warfare in the NFL, and then there's defensive guys. And there's a lot of fans out there, even though you could sit there, like you talk about, former quarterbacks and receivers and tight ends being, in the booth during the game, calling the game and giving their insights on the games. We need more, like you said, we need more defensive guys out there to say, what is that defensive player, what's going through his mind during this play, and why that actually happened? Because I think that would make for absolute great television. And
for sure, it's definitely fans out there for it. And even something like the Manning cast, like that was amazing for me. Like that's some of the best content I've ever consumed. Being able to, listen to Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, and Russell Wilson talk about a 2-minute drive, or a 4-minute drill, or what they're thinking in the red zone. Like, even as a player, I would love to be able to watch something like that. So I think it's going to be room for so many different things in this type of media space that we're kind of entering into, that digital age of things. So I think the lanes will be there for me to do those type of things. I'm excited about it, man. People love defensive breakdowns, like you said, more than I even thought. But so I'll definitely be interested in being one of the main faces in that lane.
Okay, I'll go real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
I know I just went, but I got a bunch of questions, Darius. So just bear with me. We both do here, I'm sure. Earlier this offseason, there was a tweet that was dropped, and then you made a reply to it. It was about coaching. It was when, the coaching hires were dropping, and, you were like, if I want to be a coach, I could be. Has that actually went through your mind? Have you considered being, dropping your hat in the NFL coaching? Because I've talked to some players, and some guys, they don't want to for one reason or another, whether it's the hours or DeQuell Jackson specifically said, I wouldn't mind doing it, but if I'm sitting here during practice over and over and over trying to pound something in someone's head, they go out there on the field and do the complete opposite. I'd lose myself.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts? Are you thinking about possibly doing that?
Like I said earlier, that was definitely a lane I saw myself getting into, even if it would be on a high school level, but definitely on a pro level. And I explored it this offseason. I replied to that tweet, and that obviously gained attention. I had talked to people behind the scenes about coaching. I went to coaching clinics, and what you see, being behind the curtain, and I'm sure JP can attest to this as well. For Black coaches, we just didn't move up at the same rate, especially at the bigger job. So that was discouraging for me to even get in there, because I didn't want to get into coaching and then be somewhat held back. Knowing, because it's one thing as an athlete, you got to get out there and earn it. Everybody sees who's good, who's not. Every day you get that. But coaching is way more about relationships and getting into that business. So I didn't want to kind of get caught up into that. But I went through the interview process, actually with the Colts. Went through the interview process with the Colts, with Frank Wright, Gus Bradley. And at the end of the process, obviously you had to weigh what's going on. Okay, what am I doing in media? What am I doing here? How would this affect this? Family, hours, all these different things. And at the end of the day, I just made the decision to stay in this lane that I'm in now. And at some point down the line, coaching may still be there, may still be something that I want to do. But I'm enjoying this lane. And honestly, the networking thing from Twitter, I have coaches, front office people, all type of people DMing me, if I post a video talking about different things because they enjoy the content. So even if I can carve out a consultant role with these different teams or coaches or players, which I've done, but that will be a lane that I more so can still be heavily involved in game planning and all these different type of things, obviously while getting paid for it, but still having the same, quality of life and time. So once again, just trying to create that lane more so than just jump into something that I know I wouldn't be. I would be fully committed to it, which would kind of be a bad thing for me right now as far as, family time and things like that.
This channel is proudly sponsored by the Backroom Collection. They do beautiful sports canvas art with football, basketball, baseball, and other sports themes. Special orders are accepted and autograph pieces are available. Many Indianapolis Colts signed pieces will be available beginning in November. Just use your discount code CL10 to purchase the pieces you want to spice up your living area. That's CL10.
Man, I tell people all the time, if you're going to jump back in it, that's got to come first. Like, everything that you do is going to be off of what that team itinerary is, your schedule, responsibilities. So, like, family almost come, second. I don't want to say it like that, but essentially, I mean, everything has to be dictated.
That's what it is during that season, yeah.
Yeah, so I know enough about you right now. I know you want to talk some ball, so I'm a big fan of Kenny Moe, man. I think I put him in the category, like we talk about the Malcolm Jenkins, who became like the positionless player, playing corner, playing nickel, playing safety, your Tyrann Matthew. It was some guy, yourself, myself, it was some guys that kind of was, those type of players that can play every role in the secondary. And I feel like Kenny Moe fits
Darius Webb.
Darius Webby, all those guys, Captain Munnerlin, all those guys. So when you see Kenny Moore and his style of play, what do you see in his game that you like the most when it comes to, how instinctive he is or whatever it is that he showcases every Sunday?
Man, that I like the most. That's tough. It's a lot of things I like about Kenny's game, but I would probably say his competitive streak, and coming in, as an undrafted free agent, then getting cut from New England and then landed with us. I remember him when he first came in, he was just a sponge. You could tell he was just hungry. And any opportunity he got out there, whether it's special teams or package, he took full advantage of it. He was always locked in as far as when it came to the mental aspect of his game, which, as rookies or as young players, like, man, you just trying to figure out how to walk and chew gum at the same time out there. But he was already trying to work on that next level. So his competitive streak and then, how he attacks the game from a mental standpoint. And he, like you said, he's so versatile. He brings so many different elements to the game. He can be involved in the run game. He can blitz, something that I was terrible at. Never could add that to my game. But he's great coming off the edge and disrupting the pass game that way. Ball skills. He does a good job staying square in that slot, and that's a very important position. It was for us, but I feel like it's evolved even more now in the game like that. So having a weapon like him on the team becomes invaluable. So I love what Kenny can do. You can have one out. He plays outside too, and does a damn good job at that, which guys his size typically don't do. So he does a damn good job. He plays bigger than he is. We all remember that one-handed interception in the back of the end zone, long arms, plays bigger than his frame says. So it's a lot to love about Kenny Moore's game.
Is there somebody out there free agent wise that can take the Colts defense over the top?
I don't know about free agent wise, but James Bradbury. He's a guy that I've been hearing connected with the Colts, and I think he will be a great signing for the Colts. I love his upside. He didn't have a great year last year. Year before, he was dominant, still young enough. The money's already committed, so it's not a long-term, big money type of deal where you're locked in a long time, but it could be one of those kind of how it was with Xavier Rhodes. Rhodes came in, and we got especially that first year was a really good year out of Rhodes, but I think Bradbury would be a great guy. Honey Badger. Another guy that is versatile, because you got to think in this game, I was having this conversation with AB. I said you need 4 corners that are legit guys that can start. And some guys do it the other way. Some teams go safety. Like the Patriots right now, they probably got 3-4 safeties on the rosters that are starters. But you need like a good 6 DBs that are starting quality DBs to go out there and match up with guys in passing situations, 2-minute situations. So I think Honey Badger would be great. Another guy versatile in the run game, in the pass game, smart, communicates. Obviously Bobby Wagner. Like this is that's a defensive coordinator walking around that can still play the game at a high level. So all those guys will be great signings for the Colts. We need to open that checkbook up and get at least one of them in there.
Well, you talk about, the Patriots having 4. I mean, they just signed Peppers. I mean, come on. They just keep adding talent to a deep talent pool that they already have. And you talked about, I just want to go back a little bit. You talked about how you weren't very good at the blitz package, but man, you could read a screen like nobody's business and blow it up. So I mean,
yeah,
come on now.
we have our strengths and weaknesses.
BB wasn't hitting out there. He wasn't hitting out there.
I made business decisions, man. I saw the long game, but that blitz. Rob Mathis kept trying to get me like, hey, just bend, just get low and bend. Them tackles don't like to go below their waist. I just couldn't get it right, man.
Oh well. Hey, good. I wanted to bring this up because you just talked about the defensive side of free agency. The offensive side of free agency, especially when it came to wide receivers, was kind of held back, obviously, with the fact that we didn't have a quarterback, right? So any wide receiver worth their salt wasn't going to sign not knowing who the heck was throwing the rock.
Exactly.
And then on top of that, I'm curious, do you think the wide receiver market became a little bit too difficult for a Chris Ballard in this free agency when you start seeing guys, signing what they had, like the Christian Kirk $17 million a year, and then you saw the trade with Hill, and then that $30 million a year.
Yeah.
And now you're
bad.
And then you're hearing Landry, possibly wanting $20 million a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you think that's kind of a situation now where the Colts, when it comes to the wide receiver part, might be kind of in a situation where they might just focus more on the draft rather than free agency?
I mean, yeah, but the like you said at first, the timing. I think the timing of everything is what threw everything off. Because once again, if you're a good receiver, especially if you sign in free agents, you want to go out and obviously win. You want to be involved in the offense, and obviously money is a big part of it too. And we had the money to even slightly overpay some guys, say an Allen Robinson or somebody like that. But an Allen Robinson not going to sign, with no starting quarterback on the roster. So they were obviously they felt like they had to move on from Carson Wentz as soon as possible without even a plan B really in place. But I think that's what held it back, the free agent market. I still think Landry will be a good signing, though. He played last year hurt for most of the year, which I think messed up his value. So $20 million obviously sounds maybe a little crazy now, but if he played to the level that he's typically plays at, that would be, 20 million around. If guys getting 30, 28, I would say Jarvis would be worth that as well. But once again, we're still in a position where we can give him a little more than, most people would at this point. And I think he is the type of weapon that Matt Ryan is going to need, because Matt Ryan he's a quarterback. He's going to be a statue in the pocket. When he gets back on that fifth step, that seventh step, that ball needs to be going where it's supposed to be going. That receiver needs to be there. So it's one thing to draft the receiver. And I know JP done seen plenty of these guys come in drafted. You're fast, you're explosive, you can catch the ball, you can do all these things. But it's a complete different ball game getting out there on Sunday afternoon and being able to create separation on 3rd and 8 and getting to a spot. Like, that's a skill in its own. And Jarvis Landry has mastered that skill. Even a guy like Julio, who's a little slower now, a lot of people are off that bandwagon. A lot of report here with Matt Ryan. You got Reggie Wayne as a receiver coach. Like, he's a guy, I'm not going to judge him based off playing the season Ryan Tannehill. That's just me personally. So I think it's some juice left in that tank. But Julio, Jarvis, and then obviously you go out, you continue to develop Michael Pittman, but you got to go out and get, some talent at the wide receiver position this draft as well. But I still think you need guys at the top of that target list who have ran a lot of routes in this league.
No, I agree, man. I think Jarvis Landry, because when we was talking about it a few pods ago, Matt Ryan's have always had a safety net, whether it was Tony Gonzalez, whether it became Julio, whatever the case may be.
Yep.
And I was like, when you look at our room, Michael Pittman is that down the field, bigger matchup type guy. I say, but Matt needs somebody that's going to move them chains, and who not better than Jarvis. He's ran routes. He know how to get open. You know what I'm saying? He's a savvy vet. He's physical. He's going to bring a certain element to the game. So I like that too. But that's all I had for you today, my man. I know we've been on a minute. It's always great to hear from you. I'm going to see you soon in Miami, and I promise I'm going to give you that work. I'm going to definitely give you that
cameras
work.
will be out there and let you know. So you might want to bring somebody to hold your camera too.
I might call Ballless Life out there. I'm going to have a mix.
Just don't let me be in charge of the edits, because I'm going to make it look real good.
Well, thanks so much for joining. For those that are watching or listening to this, could you tell everybody before we go where they can find you on social media and your podcast and stuff?
Yeah. So right now, the Man to Man Pod, wherever you listen to your podcast, is me and 14-year NFL vet, Super Bowl champ Antoine Bethea, obviously a long-time Colt as well. And we actually do that podcast live. We stream live on YouTube every Monday and Thursday, 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. And check me on my socials at Darius J. Butler on Twitter, on Instagram. Pretty active, and you don't have a clue what's going to pop up on that timeline next.
All right. Well, thank you so much again. That's going to be it for this episode of Bleav in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Jerraud Powers with special guest Darius Butler. And as usual, go Colts.
Go Colts.